was a really bad tackle, and my MCL, my ACL, my LCL, my hamstring, like everything, just
everything you could think of.
Yeah, they looked at the MRI and they thought I was in a car crash, you know.
Wow.
And there was a complication with the surgery, and I had to go get another surgery, and like half my leg was paralyzed, and that's when it was a bit more serious. And I get told like you have a 30% chance of ever walking normally again. I wasn't even thinking about playing at the time. It was just about coming back to daily activities. And a guy in my position got injured, and I got thrown in right away into China game. 2 days before that, I was at Happy Valley training on my own, you know. So first game for Hong Kong
ever for you, right?
Ever.
Hong Kong v China.
Hong Kong v China.
Like that's an intense game.
It's like it's like France England, or you know, like I end up doing like fairly well. After that, I get a call from the agent like half a day later saying, okay, this team wants you in Shenzhen. So I've gone from, I don't know what I'm doing on the Monday, playing on Tuesday, coming home on the Wednesday, and then going to train with this new team on the Thursday, you know? So that's just the emotions of high level sport and the uncertainties that come with it.
Welcome everyone to the Chatting with Pros podcast. Today I'm joined by my friend Clement Benhaddouche. How are you doing today?
You said it well. It's impressive. I'm doing well.
I do speak a bit of French, you know, I think it helps. And so Clem's a professional football player, currently playing in Shenzhen, and he's also played for the national team of Hong Kong. So pretty excited to get into it. So to start off, let's go over how you got started playing football.
Just like any little kid, your parents want to get you out of the house, and football was one of the sports that they try to put me into. I think around the age of 4 or 5, that's how it started. And at the beginning, I didn't like it at all.
Was that in Hong Kong that you were playing?
Yeah, in Hong Kong. And, you know, you've been here a few months now, so you know how the weather is. And as a 5-year-old just running around in the heat, it was probably not the most enjoyable thing at the time. Eventually, it started to stick a little bit once I met a couple friends, and we suffered together.
Because this is still just playing in school for fun, non-competitive pretty much?
Yeah. So in Hong Kong, you have a lot of junior teams from the ages of 4 or 5 until, I'd say, 12, 13, where you play in junior leagues. And that's kind of how the journey started for me and for my close friends that are still in football today.
And then at what point did you decide to start playing competitively, maybe join a proper football club?
So it's around the age of 12, 13. One of my close friends went to a pre-academy here. So it was kind of a new concept back in the day. And we started getting into it as soon as, you know, it kind of got more popular. And so around the age of 12, I would say, we joined, we did some trials for a professional team here that had an academy that just started up. And I guess that's when it started getting a little bit more competitive.
And at what point do you feel like, you know, maybe you're slightly better than the average, and you start to stand out, and you start to kind of dream about playing pro?
It's hard for me to say that I did stand out, because I would say my path is a little unconventional, but like we were a good team. We weren't the best team we were the best team from the ages of like 7 to 12, but when it started getting competitive, our team was a solid team. So I think like I was in a part of a good setup and a part of a good team. I don't think I stood out as a player. I think I was just a solid player, but it was a dream since I was little. And I think a lot of it has to do with the friends I made growing up, and it became all of our dreams. And to see us grow together, playing for the same team and improve together, I think that's when it started to become more of a goal than a dream to keep going.
This was like a youth team of a pro team, or not quite yet.
So it was the Kitchee Academy. Okay. So Kitchee is one of the biggest teams in Hong Kong professional football, and I'd say 3 or 4 of my very good friends that I grew up playing with since the age of 7, we all joined that same academy around the age of 12, 13, and then kept going from there. And I think that's when it kind of dawned upon me that I wanted to keep going and go as far as I could go.
Because even in Kitchee, is it quite common to make it all the way to the first team? Like that possibility is there if you're good?
Yeah, I mean they want to try to produce as many youth players as possible to try and join the first team. It's a goal of theirs, and they have. I mean, Hong Kong's a small place, but they have one of the best, like probably the top 2 academies in the city, and they've produced a lot of players that have gone on to play professionally. So I would say every year they'll have 1 or 2 that maybe come and train with the first team, and then maybe make a few appearances, but maybe they don't stay. They'll go and continue their careers elsewhere.
And then by this point, you decide to go to the US roughly around this age. That's actually where we met at IMG Academy. We both kind of studied there, and we also played football there. Because that came for you like around 16 or so?
Yeah, I think 15, 16 is when I decided to leave, because I think maybe your parents were the same, but my parents wanted me to get an education. They supported me playing football. They weren't athletes, but they supported me playing football. But as long as I had good grades, that was kind of the rule in the house. So IMG, like was a good, I guess, next step to take to continue your education and play at a high level, in order to eventually go and play in university. Because I think a lot of them players that went to IMG, that was their goal, and maybe eventually play professional.
And what do you think of the time at IMG? Did you find the level was what you were expecting?
I had gone there the year before I joined for a summer camp, and I'd gone there with Matt, so one of my close friends that we grew up together, and they liked us, and kind of like were interested in us joining the full-time program, which I eventually did the following year. And I thought it was a good level. I mean, I don't know about you, but I thought there were some good players from all over the world that, IMG is a big name. So I think they can get talent from a lot of places across the globe. And frankly, like I was nowhere near the best player there, there was a lot of talent there. And I think it was a good environment to develop as a player in certain aspects.
Yeah, I mean, personally, it was pretty much the same. I went for a summer camp. I think maybe it was the year after you guys, and then I guess they asked me to stay if I wanted. So that's roughly what I did. And yeah, the level was pretty competitive. Kind of depended on which team you played in, but it was a bit of an odd place where you had. Well, you studied there theoretically, at least you were in high school, and you also had training. Can you explain what that's like being a student athlete while still in high school?
Yeah, I think a student athlete from IMG compared to university afterwards was different. I think at IMG was, we're laughing about it now because there was a bunch of characters that we met, and I think like it was an interesting setup, but you didn't have much free time. You wake up, you go to training, right, and then you'd have like a gym session, and then go to class, and then if you weren't a good student, you'd go to study hall or detention, or so they kind of took up your whole day. And in the weekends, you're traveling across southeast of the US. We had playing against teams in, was it North Carolina, South Carolina?
Yeah, 16-hour bus ride.
Yeah, 16-hour bus rides with some interesting people.
Yeah, I don't know. They didn't seem to have the budget to get a plane, to buy a few tickets for us.
Yeah, no. I think to be fair, they had a nice gym and a nice field, so maybe they spent it on that. But yeah, I mean, it was a good time, and just like a time to grow as a person as well. You leave home at 15, 16 years old, which is, I guess, fairly early if you take it in the grand scheme of things. And I think it just helps you prepare for the next level. I think they had all the tools for you to get to the next level. Then I think a lot of it depended on mindset and what you wanted to do with your career.
Yeah, because in your head during that time when you're playing, are you thinking, I want to go pro directly potentially, or are you still thinking, let me do like my parents tell me, go to university and then see what happens?
No, I don't think professional was maybe, it was maybe at a very little corner in the back of my head. I think it was mainly about getting a scholarship, or maybe getting even an offer to play in university, which I think was a lot harder to come by than maybe I'd thought it would have been. before getting there. And so that was the main goal at the time, because I think when you're in that environment, like I would say the majority of players there want to aim to play Division 1 athletics, because IMG is a sports school. It wasn't just football. So when you're in that environment every day of players that are going to big universities, like good academic institutions, but good athletic programs, I think that's really at the forefront of your mind.
When you're playing there, how does one find the team to go to for university? Is it a case of you just apply and you send an email to the coach, or how does that process usually work from going from high school athlete to potentially a D1 athlete?
There's a few steps you need to take, but I think from what I remember, it was reaching out to schools and then trying to find a way for the schools to come and watch you play live. Because if a school is interested, you'll send your video over, and eventually, if they are interested, they'll try to find a way to come see you play live. And if you're in the US, in their vicinity, so they'll try to come to either a league game or a showcase tournament. And if you're not, they'll try to get you to come to one of their ID camps. So there's a few steps that you need to take, but I mean, you know very well as well how competitive university athletics is in the US. The percentage of players that want to go there versus actually make it. And then some of them, like the ones that get scholarship, that's like another tier of players. So there's a lot of steps that you need to take, but that's kind of how it went.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like for us as non-US players, we at least I wasn't that aware of how competitive it was. Like I know some kids that just signed up to play a sport so they can go to D1 for university, like just so they can get a scholarship without really liking that sport or wanting to do it. Just the case of the parents signing them up and saying, hey, you should do this. So hopefully you get a good offer after.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it was good. It was a good reality check to be honest, to go there and really see how competitive it is, and how, maybe it can seem like a dream from the outside, but then when you're in the thick of it, you know that it's going to be a very, very difficult road ahead, because a lot of people want to do what you aspire to do. So there's a lot of competitiveness, and with American players, with players from abroad, American universities are highly sought after, not just for athletics, but for academics. So you're in a pool of people that want the same spot as you. So then it's up to you to kind of put the work in and put yourself out there to give yourself the best chances.
Yeah, it was surprising, because I think in our case, right around that time, there was a US national team under 17s as well that was training pretty much in the same area as us at IMG. And even a lot of those guys ended up going to college instead of directly to play professionally. So it kind of speaks as to how tricky some of that was, right? Yeah.
And I remember, this is just sports and football in general. Like, everyone grows differently at different rates. And like you mentioned, the U17 national team was there. And, I remember some of them even getting cut from the program. And now some of them are playing in the best teams in Europe. So it kind of just shows like the competitiveness, the timing, the luck that you also need to keep going to the next level. So I think for me personally, high school, like in America, the first 2 years, or the 2 years I had at IMG, I don't think I was I think my potential came a bit later. So I struggled, to be honest, to get university offers. And I kind of almost took what I had towards the end of my senior year of high school.
What offer was that you ended up accepting with?
So I had a Division 3 offer where I went to the school, but my goal was to play Division 1, and I eventually got one, but I committed late, so I took a gap year of 6 months to then join the following spring. Because for those who don't know, the season in American universities starts in August and finishes in November, December, and then there's an off season from January to May, which helps you prepare for the following year. And so I joined halfway through this season, I guess, preparing for the new season.
Yeah, I mean, when they explained that to me, it was pretty weird, because really you only compete for, say, 3-4 months.
Yeah.
And then your whole season is longer than your actual season.
Yeah, and they have all these weird rules about how much time you can have on the ball and how much time you can have in the gym, because they want you to focus on school as well. So yeah, I mean, I joined at a time where I could it was like a fresh start for me, because there was it was just training, and a couple friendly games, but it kind of gave me a good opportunity to show myself rather than just come in straight away. And because you don't really have a preseason, you go straight into games. And as a first year student athlete in university is not always easy to get time. So I think the way I did it kind of bought me more time in order to prepare for my first college season.
In your case, it was UMass, right? University of Massachusetts that you played with.
Yeah.
And is there any kind of, I guess, standard as to what's a good team in D1 and what's a bad team, or does that vary quite a lot?
There is a standard. I mean, there's like 200 some schools, right? And obviously you have the best schools and schools that maybe have a bit less budget and maybe are like smaller name schools where you're gonna attract quote unquote smaller name players, which isn't obviously the case because there's a lot of good players everywhere. But yeah, there is a difference. But it's like everyone can compete against each other.
Because what's the structure like? If there's 200 or so D1 colleges,
yeah,
what are they split into different leagues or something?
Yeah, so it was conferences, right? So I guess most of it was depending on where your school is located within the US, and then there were different, how do I say it? So they had the Ivy League, for instance. So based on academics in certain leagues, but most of the time it was based on your region and conferences that kind of aligned with the bigger sports. So basketball, American football, and then soccer kind of followed after that.
And then during that time, it's a bit different to IMG where everyone's a student athlete. Here, it's just maybe like less than 10% of the students, right? Mm-hmm. Was that tricky to combine the academics when all these guys are just doing the academics?
Yeah, so I remember, I don't know about you, because you also went to uni and played, and but I remember like meeting kids that just went to school and they're telling me like how they're struggling with school, and like, okay, I wasn't in the smartest program, I wasn't pre-med or pre-law, whatever. Like we were in the business school, and some of the classes in business school are kind of a joke, to be honest, especially in the beginning. And you have these normal kids, I don't want to call them normal kids, but you have students telling me that they're struggling with school. And I'm like, so much free time, man. What are you doing?
Yeah, and, quite literally, you maybe have 24 hours a week where you're dedicated to whether it's traveling or actually football training, right?
Yeah, so to be honest, the universities did very well at balancing academics and athletics. I remember at the beginning of every season, they give you a sheet to give to your professors and say like, I won't be here for these dates. So they have a plan like for the season for teachers to accustom to your schedule. So you're not missing exams. You're like, okay, you're going to miss classes, but you're going to find ways to catch up on that work whenever you can. So I guess it can be difficult to balance, but when you get to become a student athlete at university, you're there for a reason. It's because you've balanced your time well, like growing up. It's because you've been disciplined into, like, sports teaches you discipline. So it's not like you come in as an 18-year-old and you're going to be overwhelmed. Like you can be, but I think they put a good structure in place for you to succeed on and off the pitch. And, like they have academic requirements, like you have to have certain grades in order to compete as an athlete, because the term student athlete isn't there for no reason. It's you're a student first and athlete second.
I forget what the minimum requirement was. I think it varied by school, but they would straight up kick you out of the soccer team in this case if you didn't have the grades, right?
And then I know some players that, were good students in high school and maybe weren't as good players, but because they have good grades, coaches will favor them over another recruit. Yeah, it can happen. And
like away from the actual football performance.
Because like when a coach recruits players, they think about not just like, obviously on the field performances is really important, but you want to have good kids and good students because you want your program to have a good reputation within the university. So they think about all of these things, and I think it can be to your advantage to just be a good student, and then maybe it buys yourself a chance to play for a program, and then you end up becoming a good player for that program. Right. You know what I mean? So the term student athlete isn't there for no reason. And just basically to answer your question, I think most universities will do a good job at trying to to make sure students do well in school as well. Because I think if you look at the numbers, I don't have them with me now, but I've done quite a bit of research on this. Student athletes have a higher graduation rate than normal students in the NCAA, which is, I think, a surprise to some, but to me is not really a surprise because they have the system in place for that to happen.
And looking at the actual football, so you get in there at, let's say, 18, 19 roughly, to the D1 university scene. But a lot of these players are now maybe 3-4 years older than you, right? Which up till then at youth level, usually it's like 2-year increments. Mm-hmm. Whereas here you got potentially 4 or 5.
Yeah.
What was that like, that transition?
Yeah, so you're playing with men, basically, and then how they have like the redshirt year. So some people are, maybe they save themselves a season and they can be our grad students. So you'll have 17, 18-year-olds competing with 22, 23-year-olds. So it is a big gap because your body develops tremendously during those years. Those are important formative years. So it takes time to adjust to the speed of play, to the physicality. I think college soccer is an interesting game. It's not a very pretty game, I would say. It's a very direct style of play and with a lot of athletic people. So when you're a 17-year-old, 18-year-old, and you come in and you're like, I don't know, like 5'10", 5'11", and you weigh like 150, 155, 160 pounds, competing against men that are over 6 feet and, big boys that gym a lot during the off season. And it can be overwhelming, but eventually you can, they try to do everything they can. The program tries to do everything they can to help new players adjust to the new system.
Because in your case, after that first half season, did you already get to play a few minutes as a technically, I guess, a freshman or sophomore? So I guess that's year 1, year 2 in
year 1. So
in
that
university.
was my freshman year. That was actually when I played the most out of all my 4 years.
So straight up, you started playing, which is pretty rare, right? Usually they prioritize the juniors and seniors, so third and fourth years. Yeah, they're older. They've also spent more time training. Yeah. So it's like, it makes more sense. But in your case, you were good enough to start playing from the start.
I don't know if it was the fact that I was good enough. I think it was just the fact that our program was in a transition phase. Because when I had gotten recruited, the coach that recruited me sadly passed away.
Okay.
Before I even got to the school. So when I came, it was really a fresh start for everyone. A new coach came in and kind of just gave everyone a clean slate. And for me, I guess it worked in my favor because it was a transitional year, and he played the guys that were there. So a lot of the guys weren't his guys that he had recruited.
Right.
So he made do with what he had, and it was a very poor program before, like the year before I came, and the year I was there, the first year I was there, we struggled, but we finished well, and then after that, it kind of kept improving. Yeah.
And in terms of you touched there a bit on the US soccer system and their mindset of like focusing a bit more on the physicality than the actual football technique, let's say. Can you explain a bit more about what that is and how it's different to, let's say, academies in Europe or elsewhere?
Yeah, so I mean, most of my footballing education's been in Asia and America. I've gone to Europe in summers and done camps there and stuff. But I think in America, they really focus on, or they know how to produce very good athletes, like I just simply put, I think America has the best athletes on the planet, not just in football, just you look at them in the Olympics, they're always top. A lot of their sports are with athletes that know how to jump higher, run faster, lift more. So I think for that, they're very strong. And I think another thing that they're very strong at is the mentality side of it, how to push yourself when you think you can't go anymore, like they'll always say, come on, one more rep, one more sprint, one more lap. You know what I mean?
I mean, even in IMG, I remember we used to, I was 15 and I had to do gym training. And I remember there was this coach that he would have us do push-ups, but he wouldn't tell us how many we would do.
I think they did the beep test, and then you finish the beep test and they would try to make you do it again. Just to like test your mental toughness.
They love that.
Honestly.
But yeah, when it came to the actual like football technique, it felt like it just was secondary priority, maybe, right?
Yeah, I think especially in college, I think because the season's very, very short, you don't really train that much.
Right.
So it's a lot of tactics and just kind of outlasting the other team, to be honest, and being, you know, a lot of set piece goals, a lot of counterattacks. But in terms of technique, I remember it was very rare that we do like passing drills or, you know,
straight up.
Yeah, it was just like straight up warm ups, and then you'd go into tactics because you're training or you're playing every 2-3 days, right? So, and you're traveling. So basically, like we said, it was from August to November, and you're playing 20-25 games and traveling across the country. So you're not really training, right? It's either you're traveling, playing, or recovering.
So you compress what would be otherwise a normal season, like let's say 9 months,
which I think
into 3-4.
Yeah, I think
but you play the same number of games.
Yeah, which I think is kind of counterproductive. And then when you go to the off season, the NCAA has all these rules about how you can only have 2 hours on the ball, and then you can have 8 hours of training, but 2 hours on the ball and 6 hours in the gym. So what kind of
NCAA is like the regulator for everything university sports related, right?
Yeah, I don't know if those still are the rules. I hope for them that they've changed it a little bit, but they've like Americanized soccer, I think, and I think.
I mean, even when I was recruiting while still in high school, I remember they would just ask for your stats, and by that they meant what's your height, what's your weight.
Yeah. How fast can you run the 40-yard dash in?
Oh yeah, they had that too, right? Like the NFL, as if we were.
But I hope since then, I know that was 10 years ago now. I think they've probably improved a bit. I want to say, you know, with the World Cup coming and more American players playing in Europe, I hope for them that they have, and then if not, there are different pathways now to play at the next level in America.
Because once you're in university, going through year 2, year 3, year 4 there, are you looking at normal jobs potentially? Are you looking at maybe switching and getting to go pro? What's your thinking during that time?
Yeah, so just playing as much as I could, and I was doing internships in the summer.
Or like normal office type job?
Normal office type. So I studied business with a concentration in sports management. So I did a couple internships at like sports brand companies, and then I was balancing that with PDL, which is now USL2. So basically a summer league for university students and retired pros that want to make a bit of extra money on the side. So you kind of had that, I guess, student athlete life in the summer too, where you're focusing on things that are helping with your degree and also just preparing for the following season. So in that time, I was just trying to, you know, do everything I could to prepare for the following season. And then the last summer before graduating, so before my senior year, I came back to Hong Kong and I joined Kitchee training, Kitchee was the academy I grew up playing for. And
at the first team this time.
Yeah, and this time it was with the first team because the head coach was actually one of my coaches when I was younger. So he just invited me to come for training for 2 weeks.
Right.
And I trained with them, and you know, he liked me, and he told me that after my fall season in the US, he'd like me to come back and sign with them. So that's kind of how it started.
So he basically you did essentially what would be equivalent to a trial.
Yeah.
Except it was a bit more informal.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, he liked what he saw and he just gave you an offer to start playing after graduation.
Yeah. So the details didn't come until after my senior year. But because I joined in the spring, I graduated in the fall. So I didn't have to do that, what they call the NARP semester. That's what they call it. So I graduated right away after my season was done and came back and started playing professionally in Hong Kong after that.
Yeah, because for those that don't know, there is this thing called the Hong Kong Premier League, which is the league here, which is only in Hong Kong. They have about, 10 teams roughly?
10 teams, yeah.
And I mean, I think, is it fair to say that Kitchee is like, let's say, the Bayern Munich for Germany, as in they're the most dominant
the Bayern
team?
Munich, the PSG, like they've won, I think, 6 or 7 titles in the last 10 years, league titles in the last 10 years.
And what was that like going from D1, which is still non-pro football, to playing pro? Obviously, it's not Europe, but it's still professional football. What was that like?
It was, I think, it was a change, you know. the style of play was very different. I think here was a lot more technical, and the speed of play, I would say, was slower, but it was more composed.
They take care of the ball.
Yeah, they take care of the ball. Like, they don't give it away in silly fashion and whatnot. And also the weather is a big factor. But I think the biggest change for me, I remember going from school to professional, was we'd go to training in the morning like you did in school, but once training was done, like that was your day done, you know, like I don't have to go to class, I don't have to go to study hall, I don't have to, and that was the biggest change for me, and that was a bit difficult, to be honest.
Because for those that play in the Hong Kong Premier League, it's professional, right? In the sense that you have enough money to not get a second job and you can just make a living off of that?
Yeah, I think not for the whole league.
Even today, you think? Like not everyone?
No, I think for maybe the top half of the league, most of those guys will just go to training, and then maybe they'll have like a few side hustles, but like part-time or whatnot. But full-time will be professional. But then if you look at the lower half of the league, I think most of them will, you know, do coaching in the afternoons or have a second job to make ends meet. But at Kitchee, we were fortunate enough to have like contracts that where you would kind of just play and just focus on that.
And then, so let's say roughly training starts at 10 or so, let's say.
Yeah.
And then you train, you maybe have lunch. What happens after that?
You just sit in your own thoughts and think about what you did in training. No, yeah, and then you just, I mean, I was there for 4 or 5 years. In the beginning, for the first few months, I literally would just go home and then just play video games and, you know, just...
I mean, the standard footballer, you know.
Walk my dog, and then and in my head, I was just like, no, there has to be more to life than this, you know? Like, I felt like I was on holiday, you know, because going to training doesn't feel like a job. It's just like I'm going to training, and some of the kids I grew up playing with, I play with now, and it felt like I was, you know, back like being a teenager again, except I didn't have to go to school.
Right.
Because you're playing for the same team, you're wearing the same badge as you did when you were 13, 14, you're taking...
Same facilities.
Yeah, same facilities, same transport. It's Hong Kong. Hong Kong like doesn't change that much. So in my head, I was just like, no, I have to do something else. Like I had a degree, like I want to try and do something else. So I did a bit of coaching in the beginning on the side, just for a bit of extra money, because my first contract wasn't great. And then I think it was during COVID. So my friend Matt and I started a small like consultancy to try and help kids play in university from Hong Kong, to try and get recruited.
So make the switch from high school to D1 university.
Exactly.
And try to get into a football team that way.
So it was COVID and the season was suspended and stuff. And Matt also went and played in university, and, you know, he's just used to having stimulation all day and not just, you know, go to training and then just go home. So we thought of starting this little consultancy, and it's still very small, but it's just like I just want to feel like I'm doing something else rather than just playing. Like obviously playing is the most important thing. Like I don't just go home after training. Like I'll go home and then go to the gym and, you know, take care of my body. And now that we have this little consultancy thing, like it kind of takes up a couple hours in the day that maybe I would use on video games before, and like that just didn't feel natural to me.
Right.
So
for those that maybe they're still students, they play for some academy out here in Hong Kong. How can they reach out? Maybe get a consultation with you guys to potentially play D1? Yeah,
so I mean, Hong Kong's a small place, so I don't want to sound like arrogant when I say this, but maybe not me, but everyone knows who Matt is. Like Matt Orr is, you know,
Hong Kong
national team striker, captain. So they'll know that. I guess we haven't really made it that public, because right now it's more of a selective process. We want to work with kids who we really see a potential in, but we're happy to help, you know, give advice to anyone. So we have a website, and mostly it's word of mouth because Hong Kong football is fairly small, but I think once we get a few more kids and through the pathway and through to university, I think we'll publicize it a bit more.
And going back a bit to the actual football, during that time at Kitchee, are you getting to play a fair bit?
So my first year, I was getting a bit of game time, and then to be honest with Kitchee, it was difficult as a young player.
Because you're 22-ish at this stage?
Yeah, so I signed when I was 22, which is young in Hong Kong.
And what position were you looking to play?
So they had me play as a right back or right winger, but I think I was more a right winger because they don't trust young people at the back. No, no, that's just where they saw me, and it was difficult as a young player, and I didn't have my Hong Kong passport at the time, which they stressed. They really wanted us to get it because back then it was to play Asian competitions and maybe represent the national team, which it took me a bit of time to get the Hong Kong passport, and at times I think favored Hong Kong passport players, which makes sense, you know, like they wanted to prepare for Asian competitions, so you do that by preparing in league games and whatnot. So I was a bit limited by that in the beginning because I wasn't sure if I wanted to get it or not.
Yeah, because this is something that doesn't really get talked about in pro football, but having the right nationality helps a huge amount just because you have a cap on how many foreign players you can have in a team, right?
Yeah, exactly. So for me, I wasn't sure in the beginning because when I first signed, I was like, okay, I signed 2 years. And I still had that university mindset where all my friends finished playing football and went to get normal jobs, you know. And
so it wasn't common for your D1 team to go to pro?
I wouldn't say so. I think like in my 4 years, there's maybe 4 or 5 of us that are still playing today out of four classes.
So like out of maybe 150 kids.
Yeah, there's maybe 4 or 5, you know.
So it's very uncommon.
Yeah, it's very uncommon. So I told myself I'm going to do this for 2 years, see how it goes, and then if I really feel like I can make a living and make a career out of this, then I'll think about the Hong Kong passport because that will open a lot more doors in Hong Kong and in Asia. And after those 2 years, I thought to myself, you know, like I've seen what the level is like here, and I can see myself, you know, becoming a good player in Hong Kong. So I decided to go for it, and after that, it changed a little bit.
Because getting that passport, did it unlock some moves to mainland China, which is where you currently play? Yeah.
In mainland China, you have every team is allowed to have a Hong Kong or Taiwanese player, but that's a Hong Kong passport player.
So like only one?
Yeah, one per team. But that was initially, like that was one of the goals. Like obviously one of the goals was to play for Hong Kong national team, but also to eventually open up doors to Asia and China in particular. But yeah, so I decided to apply for it, I think my 3rd season in Kitchee, and I'd gotten approved for it. And they send you a letter saying you've gotten approved for the passport. But I remember getting that a day after I got a big injury. That postponed everything for a while.
So you get a big injury, you're out for several months, and then you slowly get back into the Kitchee team.
Yeah.
And at what point does the transition or the transfer to China happen for you?
Yeah, so I got a big injury. I'm out for a year. I get told I might never play again. So that was...
What was it?
That was an ACL, but basically all my ligaments in my knee.
It wasn't just a clean tear.
No, it was just like it was a really bad tackle, and my MCL, my ACL, my LCL, my hamstring, like everything, just
everything you could think of.
Yeah, they looked at the MRI and they thought I was in a car crash, you know.
Wow.
And there was a complication with the surgery, and I had to go get another surgery, and like half my leg was paralyzed, and that's when it was a bit more serious. And I get told like you have a 30% chance of ever walking normally again. I wasn't even thinking about playing at the time. It was just about coming back to daily activities. So at that point, I was like, okay, I have this Hong Kong passport approval, but I can't even think about that at the moment. So
you can't walk.
Yeah, because my career is on hold, and I think that was the season that COVID like stopped football for a while here. So everything was on pause, you know. And
I see. So obviously, extremely unlucky to get injured, but with COVID, it's as though you didn't lose that year in a way, you know.
Yeah, in a way. I mean, there was still national team stuff going on and Asian Champions League stuff going on, so I missed that. But if there was a year to get injured, I guess that it could have been like that year was probably the one to get injured in. But so after that, I come back and I come back well. I play like the most minutes I've played at Kitchee that following season. I had a full healthy season, and then the move to China came because that's when I eventually got my Hong Kong passport. And as soon as I got my Hong Kong passport, I transferred to China the following transfer window.
Because the level between playing in Hong Kong and in China, is it like a jump forward basically?
Yeah, I would say so. I think in Hong Kong there's 3 or 4 good teams with a lot of good foreigners, and the foreigner rules in Hong Kong and China are a bit different, where in Hong Kong you can put more foreigners on the field. So it's not an easy comparison, but I would say in general, like, it is a step up. I think most Hong Kong players that have gone on to play in China will agree with what I say. So that was the right next step to take, I think. And I could have waited a bit longer, but at that point I felt like I had been at Kitchee for 5 years. I still haven't played in an Asian competition for them because I didn't have the passport until my last year.
If you don't have the passport, you just can't play for the Asian Champions League or anything.
They've changed the rules since, but at the time that I couldn't play in Asian Champions League because I didn't have the passport. So
you're just limited to playing the league games only, even though you've qualified for.
Yeah.
So very frustrating.
Yeah, it was frustrating because you've helped the team qualify, but you can't go to those games, which at the time it was a bit hard to take and watch from the sidelines, but it is what it is.
So you get the move then to China, and where did you end up? Which area of China were you in?
Yeah, so I think we talked about this the other day. China's a big place, and I couldn't have ended up further away from Hong Kong. My first move, I was in a city called Harbin, which was a city built by the Russians, I think, a few centuries ago.
So Siberia.
Yeah, so it's in between Siberia and North Korea, somewhere in between there. So northeastern China.
And like initially when they said, "Hey, this team is interested in you," did you know where it was?
Harbin, I think, like, I've heard of that. I've heard of the ice festival there. I think it snows 12 months of the year, but I guess not. So yeah, I got this offer, and in my head I was just like, okay, I've been at Kitchee for 5 years. I've been in Hong Kong 5 years. It's like I felt too comfortable, and I was like, I want to play more. I want to improve more as a player, and I felt like going over there would help me with that. And
this
so
was
went for it.
Second division in China.
Yeah, so China League 1, so second division.
It's a bit confusing. There's a Super League, which is actually the first division, right? Then there's China League 1, which is second division.
Yeah,
and there's a League 2 as well.
Yeah, League 2 is
which is that the lowest tier of pro in China?
Yeah.
So okay, so you're in League 1, and what was the day-to-day like in this city? Was it a city even? Or?
Yeah, a city, 10 million people, man.
Okay, huge. Okay, wow.
Yeah, but that's considered like a tier 2 or tier 3 city in China. Right. So yeah, the day-to-day is same thing. You train in the morning, and then afternoon maybe you'll go to the gym yourself. Like, they don't require you to go to the gym or whatever. And then you travel every other week because, especially in Harbin, there's not many teams that are close to you. So China's a big place. You leave like 2 or 3 days before the game. You'll take a flight, go play an away game, come back, prepare for a home game.
Because there's only one division within that league. So it's not like split regional, by east and west or anything.
So for context, like, you can be in Harbin and then go and play in Guangzhou, which I guess I can put it in. If I put it in American terms, like, you can be in Seattle and then go and play in Dallas or Florida or something. It's literally
extreme,
it's all over the country. So it's like
in Europe, you've passed 6 countries.
Yeah, in Europe, it's like you're playing in I don't know, like in Lisbon, and then you have to go and play in like Prague or something. So China's a big country, and you're traveling a lot. And
do they charter a plane, or you're having to do layovers, all sorts of stuff there?
So that depends on the team's budget. But I'd say most of the time, you just take a plane, China's a very efficient country, so there'll be mostly direct flights if you're in a good city. If you're going to a good city, but you can end up going, like, some teams are in the middle of random provinces and some random villages, which, like, you would have never gone to otherwise. And so yeah, that's the day to day.
Culturally, what's it like in the changing room? How many foreigners are there? I mean, other than yourself as a Hong Konger?
Yeah, so in League One, you can have 3 foreigners plus a Hong Kong or Taiwanese player. In the Super League, I believe it's 5 and 1.
And the rest are just Chinese. Mainland.
Yeah, Chinese.
How do you get on with them? Do they even speak any English at all?
No, I mean, maybe there's like 1 or 2 on each team that'll speak English because maybe they've gone and played in Europe growing up, but most of them don't speak a word of English. So it's on you to speak Chinese, which I don't know. Subconsciously, maybe I thought I always wanted to go there because in university I studied Chinese like quite diligently, and growing up in Hong Kong, you go, like, in school you learn Mandarin. So I had basic knowledge of Chinese, and it's improved since because you don't have a choice. But I like speaking Chinese. It's and the Chinese teammates, I think most of them are quite friendly. There's a competitive aspect, so maybe people in your position won't really speak to you, but that's football. Yeah, in general, I would say they are friendly and they are curious and nice people. Yeah.
And how was the temperature, by the way, playing in Siberia?
In Siberia, because the season in China is from March to November. So because a lot of teams play up north, so you can't play in the winter.
Okay, so they purposely make the season only summerish months.
Yeah, because in Siberia in the winter, it's like minus 40 degrees. So even towards the end of my season when I was there, it was like October and it started snowing up there. So.
But how does it work in terms of when they make the transfer? Do they help you out at all with like opening a bank account there, the flat, all of that stuff?
Yeah. So you have there'll be a translator. Each team has like a translator, and with like all these logistical things, they'll help you like sort out a bank account, sort out your flat, sort out your bills. The club takes care of all of that.
Okay, so other than being somewhere you don't really know, they do assist a fair bit.
Yeah, for sure. I would say you're always going to have some surprises with some teams, but I would say for the most part, if you're in a team that does things normally, not properly, normally, they'll sort you out with all of that stuff.
And so you play in this team, and what happens after that?
Yeah, so I played 6 months in this team. There was a few, I would say, organizational problems that I wasn't too pleased with. But I did well. I played a lot. I got along with the coach, and that was my first half season in China League One. So I guess like first sort of exposure to China. And I did well in the league, and they offered to keep me, but I got a better offer in I would say like a more appealing city, and a more structured team. So I decided to move after that, for the 2024 season. So last year. And I moved to Suzhou, which was a tier 2 city, not next to Shanghai. And so I moved there after 6 months in the cold.
Because I mean, you straight up you move around cities that you've never really heard of.
Yeah, you just watch a YouTube video, you watch a Douyin video, which is a Chinese TikTok. You're like, oh, it looks cool. Okay, let's go.
That's it. Straight up, you haven't visited the place prior to signing the contract or anything.
No, man. Like you just get on a plane. The agent calls you. So you discuss terms. You negotiate a bit. You see the contract, and if it's all okay, then you just get on a plane and
because you have no friends,
and you meet 25 new people.
Straight up, right?
Sorry,
straight up,
man. I remember going to Suzhou. I was like, or the first one, Harbin. Who am I gonna know there? You know. But yeah, and then obviously like I got close with the foreigners up there and some of the Chinese guys, and but yeah, that's really what it is. It's you have a look, you you maybe try to contact people that have been on that team before and kind of get as much information as you can, but you won't really get everything until you go there and see it for yourself. So,
because it's got to get pretty lonely, right? Like obviously there's the whole teammates and stuff, but ultimately they also might have their own families.
Yeah, for sure.
What's that like? Is it pretty lonely, like after training and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say like I'll give you an example. Like my day to day in China was a lot of them train in the afternoon because Chinese players sleep late. So
it's just a standard culture. Training in the afternoon.
And so it was a lot of afternoon training. So in the morning, maybe I'll go to the gym and then go back to my apartment, make lunch, and then make my way to the training ground, train, and then come home, make dinner, and that would pretty much be it.
So like it's very solitary, huh? Other than 2-3 hours of training that you actually have.
Yeah. So I think I found that at the beginning it was difficult to kind of adjust to that lifestyle, but I found that when you have a day that entails more than just training, you're mentally more prepared and more refreshed when you're going into training and going into games. So whether it's discovering parts of the city or, working on the consultancy when I can, or even, okay, maybe I don't have access to people physically, so just try to call people in the morning, in the evenings, just to kind of get out of the bubble, because China can be a bubble in itself, like when you're a foreigner there, because there's not that many foreigners. And then when you're a foreigner playing football, it's a whole other ball game. So
yeah, because it's not like, I don't know, like university where you have people you can speak with.
Yeah, so this is your job, right? So obviously you're there for your profession. And then it's on you to kind of find ways to still manage to live life normally, quote unquote, because I think like it's something that you should be aware of, because once you leave that bubble, coming back into the real world could be a shock. So I'm trying to, like, now that I've been there for 2 years, 2 years now, I've like picked up on little things that can help with I guess trying to live life as normally as possible.
And so you're playing at the second team now in China. You've already gone to Siberia. You've gone to a more normal city in near Shanghai. And what comes after that? So another big injury. I break my arm in half, like a really freak accident in the middle of a game, halfway through the season last year, and the team doesn't end up keeping me because I missed like quite a few games, and that was more of a sour taste in my mouth, because I'd been called up by the national team like right before I got injured. So you were gonna go?
Yeah, I was gonna go because there was a change in coaching staff, and they wanted to have a look at new players, and that would have been an opportunity to play for Hong Kong for the first time, so I was upset about that, and upset about obviously the injury. So they don't end up keeping me, and I've kind of left in the dark in the off season. So around this time last year.
You're an injured player without a club, right? Yeah. That's probably the toughest position you can be in.
Yeah, for sure. It's like I don't know how to. I'm trying to find a way to compare it to.
I mean, it's like, I guess, trying to find a job with a disability. Like it's just
for sure. It's and it's like, okay, what have you done? Like, football moves very quickly, so it's always going to be about the last game or the last few games,
right?
And then if they have a look at what I did, it was like 6 months ago, which 6 months in football is a long time.
Yeah.
So I'm left in the dark. I've gone like in the off season. I've gone on holiday and just working on myself, like trying to prepare for the new season, thinking I'm going to go back to China, just waiting to see what the agent says, which is a stressful time. It's like your career is not really in your hands at that point.
Nothing is in your control, right? Nothing.
So you're trying to do the best you can, just try to stay in shape and stay ready for a trial or a start of like a preseason camp or something. And nothing ends up coming, which was new to me at that point. I had never, throughout my career, I'd always been employed. So I'd always had a contract.
Right.
And that was really the first time where it was just like, wake up, uncertainty.
Like nothing's coming.
Yeah, so I went on my off season and I came back in January. I came back to Asia in January, which is around the time that teams in China will start preseason. Except nothing's come, and I've started training with a team in Hong Kong with an old coach of mine, and I decided to wait till the end of the transfer window at the end of January, and still nothing came. So I signed here in Hong Kong.
Also, you decided to play, come back to Hong Kong to play in the Hong Kong Premier League.
In the Hong Kong Premier League, which I did half a season here, and I finished in the summer. And in the summer again, same thing.
So you're not finding a club again?
Yeah, difficult. That one I was a bit more surprised by, because I'd been called up by the national team. I'd played half a season in Hong Kong and I'd played most of the games. You know, we did well. We won a trophy at the end. We qualified for the Champions League.
Okay, so you're performing.
Yeah, like I had I think I missed 3 games from a small injury, but the rest, I finished the season healthy. I go on holiday and I'm like, people asking you, what are you doing next season? I was like, man, I don't even know what I'm doing next week. Like, don't talk to me about next season, you know? Yeah. And you go and you're training and you're like, okay, am I training to go back to Hong Kong and start preseason, or am I training to go back to China and join halfway through the season? So,
because you're training, by training, you mean like training on your own, right?
Yeah, on your own, completely on your own. So
trying to be ready for a potential call up somewhere.
Yeah. And at that point, it was the end of June, which is very late in Hong Kong.
Because what age were you around then?
This was this year. So this was like, I'm 28, 29.
And in your head, are you thinking, you know what?
Yeah, seriously.
This is it.
I think we talked about this the other day. I was just like, okay, I'm going to wake up. I'm going to go train. What am I training for? I don't know. I'm like, am I training too much because I'm joining a team in preseason, or am I training too little because I'm joining a team in half season? Or am I just training to stay in shape and go and, you know, like I was looking at jobs and, you know, like in the back of my head, I was like, I don't want to stop now. Like, but maybe
just
it's not
in case,
in my control.
As a plan B, you're even starting to look at normal jobs,
because like I was like, I've always told myself, like, the moment I can't make a career out of this anymore, like I'm gonna go and do something else, you know. Like I'm gonna stop on my own terms.
And throughout that time, when you're not in contract, it also means you're not earning money directly, right?
No, because like usually your contract will end a month after the season ends.
Okay.
So like,
so there's a bit of a buffer.
Yeah. So that was like a month, and then this national team stuff comes up in July, and I asked to go. Like I messaged the coach and I was like, Coach, I don't have a team, but I'm willing to come to training camp, even if I don't travel for the games. Like I think it'll just look good to kind of get my name back out there, because I still don't have anything. And he invited me to training camp, and it was a training camp to go prepare for a tournament in Korea.
Because he had called you up before, and just because of injuries and things like that, you just didn't get to actually debut. Right?
Yeah, exactly. So
you had his contact, he knows you.
And a few players couldn't go because it wasn't a FIFA period, so their clubs weren't letting them go. So I end up joining, and I don't end up going to Korea for the first few games because they could only bring so many. And then I'm back to training on my own. And then I get a message like, oh, one of our players has to go back to his club. We'll fly you out to Korea for the last game. And the last game ended up being against China. And a guy in my position got injured, and I got thrown in right away into China game. When 2 days before that, I was at Happy Valley training on my own, you know. So first game for Hong Kong
ever for you, right?
Ever.
Hong Kong v China.
Hong Kong v China.
Like that's an
massive,
intense game.
It's like it's like France, England, or you know, like so end up doing okay. I think, like, considering all the factors and all the situation I'd been in the last few weeks, I end up doing like fairly well. And after that, I get a call from the agent, like not even like half a day later, saying, okay, this team wants you in Shenzhen. So I've gone from, I don't know what I'm doing on the Monday, playing on Tuesday, coming home on the Wednesday, and then going to train with this new team on the Thursday, you know. So that's just the emotions of high level sport and the uncertainties that come with it. So since July until now, I've been with this team in Shenzhen, back in China League One, and I've been playing a lot. And it was a difficult season for us, but I signed a 1.5 years, and like I knew going into it, it was going to be a new project. So it was a bit difficult this half season, but we got to the objective we wanted, which was to stay in the league. So first relegation battle, which was tough, but it's just something new that stressful, because after all this uncertainty, you're thrown back into uncertainty. But I guess you pick up little bits from each experience you have.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it was very smart of you to actually contact the coach for Hong Kong, even though you thought you're probably just gonna be training with them.
Yeah,
but just like, in case.
You have nothing to lose, man. What do you have to lose? The worst they can say is no.
Right.
So I was just like, I'm like running out of options, and I've always told myself, like, the moment I stop playing, I have to say I gave it everything, and I just did everything I could. Everything that was in my control, I have to do the best I can. So yeah.
Because the funny thing is that before getting the call up for the national team and playing those 45 minutes, there was no team interested. And then just after those 45, there was. I guess the main question here is football meritocratic, would you say?
What do you mean by that? Like, do you like...
In the sense that there's people in the dark that are probably better than some others 100%. That are already playing, right?
100%. It was like I can bring it back to the IMG days, to going to play Division 1. Like how hard it was to go and play Division 1, and then you get there and you're like, what's the hype, man?
Yeah.
Seriously. Like I think a lot of players go unnoticed, and it comes down to timing, to luck, to connections, and like just like in life, to be honest, like a lot of it comes from that. But you obviously have to have like ability. It's just like, are you able to show it when it counts?
Right.
And are you able to have people around you market you well as well?
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of people from the outside just think, it's a sport. You play well, you're going to play. You don't play well, you're not going to play. But it's not that simple, right?
It's not that simple, man. If it was that simple, I think a lot of things would be different. But yeah, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of nasty things you'll see behind the scenes that like I won't get into today. But it's just like, I don't think it's just in football. It's just like, in high level sport, I think you'll always have guys that deserved more that didn't get to have it, and then vice versa.
And just thinking a bit about the money side of football, can you give us some ranges of how much maybe teams pay in Hong Kong versus in mainland China?
I don't know if saying the numbers, or just I'll say like
whatever you're comfortable with,
Yeah, I'll say like, in China, you'll make more playing in China than you will in Hong Kong, like across the Super League and most of the teams in League One. You'll easily double, triple, quadruple more than what you could make here playing here.
And that's enough for you to save money and potentially to last you quite a while post football.
Yeah, because I think the difference between Hong Kong and China, as a Hong Kong player, when you go to China, you save a lot on housing, because like cost of living in China is a lot cheaper than it is here, and you're traveling a lot, so a lot of your expenses are taken care of by the team, and obviously the salaries are better, the bonuses are better, and cost of living is lower. So when you bring up those two factors, like you have a higher income and less expenses,
right,
you're going to save a lot of money
naturally, right?
Yeah, I would say that.
You've already been playing football for quite a few years professionally. Have you? What do most of the people that retire? You've probably seen quite a few of them in different changing rooms. What do they end up doing?
So some people stay in football. Whether it's coaching, whether it's like coaching professionally, coaching academies, coaching like their own private coaching businesses. I think that's fairly common, especially in Hong Kong, because there's a market for it. People can go into I think one of my old teammates is a commentator. Then you have people that become teachers, and people maybe that start their own brand. So I have a teammate who started his own hair product brand, for instance.
Okay, so it's not like a clear path of this is what you'll do post football.
Yeah, but it's a big question. It's like a big, like, I think now I'd say halfway through my career. Like, if everything goes well, play for another
7-8 years.
7-8 years, maybe 9-10 years if I really take care of my body and really want to keep doing this. But it's a question that I'm starting to think about in the back of my mind.
It's gotta be pretty stressful, no?
I think it's going to be an interesting transition. I think when you get told what to do every day, like, for instance, I'll give you in China last year, it was like you wake up and you have to show up at this place. They weigh you. You have to wear like a red hoodie, like black tracksuit. Like, it's like everything in your day is programmed. It was like, if you gain weight, you're going to get fined. If you don't wear the right clothes, you're going to get fined, this, and that. So it's like everything is so structured and everything is towards like the preparation for the game on the Saturday. So your whole life is really just like you're in a bubble. And then you go into thinking about, what am I going to do next? And you have endless options.
Yeah, I mean, even with like superstars, players that played in Prem and stuff, they seem to really struggle. A lot of them just gain a lot of weight out of the blue. And even though they have all the money in the world,
who comes to mind when you think?
like Schneider, let's say,
I was going to say Schneider.
And they really seem to struggle, like on
Hazard.
The whole, Hazard as well. It's got to be tricky because since maybe 16-ish, you just had all these rules laid out.
Yeah.
And then out the blue, you have zero.
So it's I don't want to like keep saying it's a bubble, but like in many ways it is. So to kind of exit that, I think like if you don't have a plan or don't have some sort of thought, it can be a very, very violent transition.
Right.
Like some people gain weight, but others maybe mentally they're not doing so well, and maybe they're not smart with their money, and but like I don't play for Real Madrid. I don't play for Man City. Like, I'm going to have to work after this career. Like, okay, I'm making a living from it now, but it's not going to last me for another 30 years because you retire at 35 and you still have to work till you're like 60, 65. Yeah. So you have to think about what's next. But I'm also excited for that, like, just because it's not just football that interests me. So.
Yeah, I mean, you've mentioned already you're doing this consultancy on the side, and you obviously have a degree, so there's definitely a lot of things you can do, even if it's just limited to the football world, right? For sure.
But we'll see when that bridge comes.
Yeah, that's all we have for today. I don't know if people want to follow your journey. Where should they do that?
Yeah, but you can find me on Instagram.
What's the handle they can use?
Just my name.
Clement Benhaddouche.
The way you pronounce it.
There we go. Yeah. Thanks so much for your time, and I hope you had a good time here. Just one final question we always try to ask is anyone that you would like to see here on the podcast next?
Yeah, I'd say like any of the close friends I grew up playing with. So obviously I mentioned Matt. I think you're going to have him on soon. And then my friend Vas as well has a pretty interesting journey. Both national teammates who could give you a bit more insights on life in China and the details you really want.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Clem.
Yeah, thank you for having me.